Thanks for watching this review of the final exam style clues. The directions for the final exam are to start by making sure that you're using Chrome and not Safari. People who've used Safari report images that don't show up because Safari isn't as compatible with Canvas. So it's just like the midterm. You're going to identify which style the image is by selecting the multiple choice option that corresponds to the style. The second part of the test are written questions that are also multiple choice, and you're going to find the style characteristic that is false regarding each style. In alphabetical order, the styles that are covered on our final exam are Art Deco, Bauhaus, and the new typography, which will be one item on the test, conceptual image, corporate identity and visual systems, the style, the international typographic style, modern movement in America, New York School, Plackettstil, and postmodern design and the digital revolution, which is one item on the test. You don't have to split the hairs between those two. Same goes with suprematism, constructivism. Even though they look different, there'll be one item on the test. So let's start by looking at the style clues for Plackettstil and Art Deco. Plackettstil, we have the name of the product, a flat background color, a dominant stylized image, war or political propaganda, and the language is going to be German or English because there's a lot of war posters. Art Deco style clues are the zigzag line, which you see here, geometric shape, so you see how this face is reduced to geometric forms, a machine aesthetic, streamline and converging lines. Look how that train by M. Cassandra is streamlined. There's eclecticism with international motifs that could be Assyrian, American Indian, or Greek. Next, we're going to take a look at the suprematism style clues. Suprematism works are non-representational. So they're the one style that's going to look a lot like kind of fine art because the influence of modern art chapter isn't on the final. So they're non-representational. You've got pure colors and very basic geometric shapes. If there is language, it's the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, so the lettering will look Soviet influenced. It's very often that it uses red and black on a beige colored background. Constructivism differs because we see geometric shapes, asymmetry. So in other words, it's not even on both sides. Diagonal lines are really big in constructivism. And you'll notice that the language is also Russian or Cyrillic alphabet. The lettering looks Soviet influenced. They often use red and black on a beige colored background, but the difference between constructivism and suprematism is that you'll see recognizable imagery, where suprematism will look more like just fine art. So that's how you can tell the difference, but remember, they're the same item on the final exam. Next, we're going to move to the Bauhaus and the new typography, which will be the same item on the test. We've got sans serif asymmetrical type. It's called the new typography. So see the flush left, ragged right? The idea is to deliver the message and communicate. Function, not decoration, is what counts. So it's the opposite of Art Deco, which is a very decorative style. You have purity, clarity, and simplicity. Some of the pieces will even say Bauhaus in them if you look closely. See it here and here? There's new approaches to photography. So we have extreme scale contrasts like bird's eye, worm's eye, and montage is very big. The new typography itself is asymmetrical, so it's not even on both sides, and flush left, ragged right. Priority is assigned to the text based on weight and size. In other words, things that are more important are going to be bigger and bolder. Type is used in a really simple form without embellishment. And rules are often used for emphasis. The language in these pieces is going to be German. Now, for the Bauhaus, it might be architecture like this or furniture. Next, we're going to move to the modern movement in America style clues. We have the Bauhaus influence, but American content. So we see that same simplicity, but the content is decidedly American. Many of the pieces are WPA typography for social programs. It was the time of Roosevelt's New Deal, remember? And so to put unemployed people to work, he created a lot of jobs. There are national park posters and American magazine design. The language, of course, will be the United States when you see names, and English is the language. World War II wartime posters will also be part of this. They embraced modernism and technology, but they put an American twist on it. Next, we're going to the New York style. We've got a uniquely American approach with origins in European modernism. It's playful, it's visually dynamic, and it's unexpected. Here's a package for Christmas wrapped up with barbed wire. It analyzes the communications content but reduces it to its symbolic essence. And shape is really the big thing that tells you you're looking at the New York school. Shape is really important. We've got asymmetrical balance. And the language is English. It hails, of course, from the United States. Film posters are really big. Saul Bass was the most famous in this genre. And it uses images and geometric forms to convey messages. Now we're going to look at the conceptual image. And we've got narrative information communicated with ideas and concepts. Concepts and ideas are what this style is all about. We often see the familiar in an unfamiliar setting, such as this Seymour Quast piece. And one way to do that is with scale changes, substitution, like putting this tire instead of the face of the elephant, visual puns, and play. There are 4 countries in this style, so it's most often mixed up with the New York school. So if it isn't in English, if it's in Polish, or it's in German, or it's in Spanish, you're going to be in luck. So Poland, Germany, the United States, and Cuba, here we see examples of each, but they're all really conceptual ideas. They're really clever concepts. Even if it's a logo, it's all about the concept. Here we see solidarity conveyed by people marching in the streets, and looks like street graffiti. It also could resemble blood for the whole movement of solidarity. Again, very clever concepts. Now, psychedelic posters from like Haight-Ashbury would fall into this category. Let's take a look at the international typographic style next. We've got asymmetry. We've got flush left, ragged right layouts. And sans serif letters, so letters without feet with bold words for emphasis. It's very reductive, objectivity. There isn't any superfluous decoration. And a big thing that helps identify it are grid systems. The grid is really big. If it's a poster or it's an ad, anything, we'll see the grid. The typography may include references to Switzerland. So it's often in German, as these pieces are. There's cleanliness, there's readability, there's objectivity. For corporate identity and visual systems, we're looking for logotypes and identities that are corporate. So these represent corporations. They're not like the Solidarity logo, they're conveying a corporation. So we've got a lot of great examples here. The other thing it includes is pictographic signage that is used for the Olympics or for transportation. That brings us to postmodern design with three subsets: deconstruction, new wave, and retro vernacular. Now, deconstruction can be identified because it broke with the international typographic style communications. Suddenly we see really playful things going on like this. It's intuitive. So it's a lot closer to fine art than ever before. It's about communicating really emotional qualities with very expressive typography, as seen in these examples. Because it uses computers, there's some layering and overlapping, because that's how we use computers. And those are used to generate both layouts and typography. It could be architecture or furniture postmodernism. And for new wave, we see stair-step rules, which we see here very clearly. And again, there is some evidence of a grid that underlies organization. And we have layering, overlapping, and simultaneity. Michael Vanderbijl at the end put these gestural kind of brush strokes layered over top of the image. For retro vernacular, we see a return to eclectic modernist European design of the first half of the century. But when I look at this, it's not in French. So even though it looks like Art Deco, I know that it's not, because it's Hoover's Guide to the Top Southern California Companies. There's an absolute disrespect for the proper rules of typography. Designers are starting to place typography in new ways. And they favor the kinky mannered type from the 20s and 30s. So we'll see a lot of references to maybe Art Deco or to the Vienna Secession. Lastly, we have the digital revolution. Now, the digital revolution and postmodern design are going to be the same item on the test. It can sometimes be difficult to split hairs between those two styles. But we have computer-generated imagery. We have the internet. We have interactive design and the World Wide Web.